Let's face it, for every character fans love and praise in the Star Wars universe, there's another one that makes people groan louder than a Wookiee with a stubbed toe. But what makes some characters sit in people's hearts while others flop harder than a Gungan at war? Drop a like and subscribe, and let's break it down with the most loved versus most hated Star Wars characters. Jar Binks. Hated. Poor Jar Jar never stood a chance. He stumbles into the Phantom Menace with his strange floppy ears and that infamous Misa accent, immediately turning what should be a tense battle scene into a malformed comedy. Most fans went to the theater for an epic lightsaber duel and emotional story, but instead, for most of the film, they had a clumsy Gungan. This brought immense backlash, which hit the actor Ahmed Best so hard that newer generations of fans might not realize just how intense the Jar Jar hate train really was back in the day. It was intense. While kids watching their first Star Wars marathon might giggle at his antics and find him lovable, longtime fans, especially the older ones, still physically cringe when they hear
Jar Binks.
Grogu loved. Talk about a complete 180 from Jar Jar. When that little metal cradle popped open and those enormous baby eyes blinked up at us, the entire Star Wars fandom collectively melted. Baby Yoda, as he was affectionately named by fans before his real name was public, is pretty much a masterstroke when it comes to marketing. Adorable enough to sell millions in plush toys, but with enough force power to yank a mudhorn off the ground. One minute he's slurping soup, and the next he's saving the day with his tiny green fingers. It's no wonder that families who hadn't watched Star Wars in years suddenly came rushing back just to see what the child would do next. In a franchise that sometimes takes itself far too seriously, Grogu reminds us that hope can come in the tiniest packages. It's safe to say the writers were very careful to avoid a second Jar Binks. Before we hop into the next character, let me give a quick shout out to Sabers Pro. If you're looking for an affordable, high quality lightsaber, whether it be for stunt or display purposes, there is nowhere better than Sabers Pro. Their highly competitive pricing is already top of the line, but if you want to save yourself an extra 10% on your order while also helping out this channel, be sure to use my code on the screen or hit my link at the top of the description to save 10% on your order. But with that out of the way, let's get into our next character. General Hux. Hated. Now here's a villain who tries so hard but falls so short in every endeavor. With his slicked back red hair and black uniform, Hux wants to be the next Grand Moff Tarkin. In fact, he wants to so badly that it hurts. His grand speech on Starkiller Base sounds more like community theater than galactic domination. The red-headed general spends most of his time on screen getting pushed around by Kylo Ren and mocked by his own colleagues. By the time he becomes a spy just to spite Kylo, not even out of any form of self-interest, any menace that he might have had completely evaporated. Fans don't just hate him because he's evil. They hate him because he's ineffective, annoying, and ultimately, a nobody. One thing all these characters have in common though is how instantly recognizable they are. And there is nobody more iconic than R2-D2. Loved. One beep from this little droid and you know adventure is about to kick off. R2 might just be a rolling trash can with an attitude, but don't tell him that. Beneath that shiny blue dome is basically the Swiss Army knife of the galaxy's droids. He has rockets, saws, computer interfaces, and enough attitude to power a Star Destroyer. While others panic and lose their mind, R2, thanks to his years of experience, rolls straight towards danger without any form of hesitation. His loyalty and bravery causes him to save our heroes in every trilogy without ever asking for credit or giving any kind of dramatic speech about how epic he is. His excited little trill of victory when a plan works out is more than enough to lift the entire theater's mood when things get heavy. It's no wonder that fans love him. Loyalty looks good in blue. But not everybody in a galaxy far, far away was loyal. Pong Krell. Hated. If you want to see fans of the Clone Wars absolutely lose their minds, just mention this four-armed jerk in their presence. Krell stalks through the Umbaran campaign like every bad boss you've ever had, sending clone troopers into deadly situations without backup or resources, treating them like disposable tools rather than people, and eventually making them kill each other to make his life easier in attempting to join Count Dooku. What makes the hate for this character so visceral is that by this point in the series, viewers are well attached to Rex, Fives, and the rest of the 501st. They're not just faceless soldiers in a war that we don't care about. We grew up with them. We love them. So when Krell's betrayal is revealed, the collective satisfaction at his ultimate downfall is overwhelming. It's the cherry on the cake that makes the Umbaran arc of the Clone Wars so well praised by fans. And the thing is, he's not even an impressive villain. He's just a bully with a fancy title who gets exactly what he deserves when the clones that he's been ridiculing for the entire arc outsmart him and put him down. But if there is a character as well known in the fandom as they are loyal and cunning, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, loved. From starting out as a very sassy Padawan to the ultimate desert hermit, Obi-Wan Kenobi remains the heart and soul of Star Wars. He evolves beautifully through each era of the story, while maintaining that perfect blend of wisdom and very dry humor. The man duels Darth Maul with fire in his eyes as a young Jedi, then later greets farmboy Luke with the gentle smile of someone who's seen it all. His "so uncivilized" after blasting General Grievous perfectly encapsulates his character, reluctantly practical but never losing his underlying principles and beliefs. When hope seems thinnest and things are the most desperate, Obi-Wan keeps pushing forward, even when he's lost everything. That unwavering dedication to the Jedi way is why fans across all age groups put him at the top of their favorite character lists. He is as inspirational and motivational as he is kind and wise. But not all characters made such a wonderful entrance. That brings us to our next character, young Anakin Skywalker. Hated. The kid who would go on to become Darth Vader, the greatest dad in the galaxy, had impossible shoes to fill. Some viewers see the innocent beginnings of cinema's greatest villain, while others just cannot reconcile "yippee" with "I find your lack of faith disturbing." Whenever fans rank their least favorite parts of the saga, young Anakin's appearances tend to come near the top of the list. Our next character, however, has done basically nothing to leave a bad taste in the mouth of fans, and that is Din Djarin, loved. Mando proves that you don't need to show your face to win hearts. This chrome-plated bounty hunter starts out as a credits-first merchant until a certain green kiddo changes everything. Our boy in Beskar doesn't smile, at least not any way we can see, but his actions speak volumes, right up until he takes off his helmet and shows us his true emotions. He'll disarm stormtroopers with his bare hands, trade valuable metal for ship parts, and slowly learn that family isn't just about bloodlines and who you're related to. "This is the way" is a saying that evolves from a strict code to something far more meaningful with each episode we see. Fans connect with his reluctant journey of being a hero because it feels real. It's a loner learning to care again. Not for himself, but for something greater, a child. His difficult journey in trying to take care of Baby Yoda is exactly why he rocketed to fan favorite status faster than the Razor Crest breaking atmosphere, although it won't be doing that again anytime soon. But not everyone is so unanimously loved. Our next character is actually one I love a lot, but surprisingly, many people online hate, and that is C-3PO. Gold and extremely anxious, 3PO divides the fanbase like few other characters in the franchise can. His constant worrying and protocol interruptions during tense moments make some viewers laugh, like me to be honest, but others reach for the fast forward button because they find him so annoying. He's basically the one nervous friend who reminds him about the odds of survival right before a dangerous mission, just in case we happen to forget how at risk his life is. But his knowledge of over 6 million forms of communication has saved the heroes a couple different times, and when his memory wipe hangs in the balance in Rise of Skywalker, even the eye rollers feel at least some pang of emotion. He was loyal even if he was annoying. Maybe some people try to love him and just have a few annoyances they can't get past. But people's care for him shone right through as soon as his glowing eyes started to dim and we thought we lost him forever. Although 3PO may know a lot of languages to communicate with people, he isn't that smooth in any of them, unlike our next pick, Han Solo, loved. Jacket slightly worn, smirk perfectly on point, and always ready with a blaster under the table, our space cowboy Han Solo lives by luck, skill, and charm in equal measure. He acts like he only cares about himself and the Falcon, but then jumps back into the Death Star trenches to save Luke, at the last possible moment. He shrugs off Leia's insult, then risks everything to rescue her on Bespin. The Falcon might leak pretty often, and bounty hunters might chase him around the galaxy, but Han keeps betting on himself and winning. What really makes us love him, though, isn't just his swagger, as much as he is cool. It's the fact that he keeps leaving, he shows he has issues, but he comes back for what matters most, even if it takes a while. That's why when he walks onto Starkiller Base years later to face his son, the audience knows his courage runs deeper than any ocean on Ahch-To. What do you get when you mix human organs with the body of a droid? A very unhappy and unpleasant general. In this case, General Grievous. Hated. All style, no substance, and a lot of asthma does a really good job at summarizing General Grievous's character. Cloak dramatically thrown open, 4 lightsaber-wielding arms extended, and then he wheezes. He brags, and then he runs away when the fight turns against him. Now, there is actually lore behind his respiratory issues, thanks Mace Windu, but movie audiences just hear a villain who sounds like he needs an inhaler, trying so bad to look awesome and then running away. This reputation really honestly comes from the Clone Wars, which built upon his tendency to flee as soon as the odds were no longer in his favor. There are scenes where they try to salvage his reputation and show him as more competent, but for many fans, he's always going to be the guy that Obi-Wan unceremoniously shoots before making a quick quip. Kids still think that his spinning lightsabers are cool, so at least he's got that going for him, but overall, he is a very annoying and unpleasant character. Pulling a complete 180, we have one of the wisest and most respected characters in the entire franchise. Grandmaster Yoda. Loved. The tiny green feet shuffling through swamp mud hides a master of both wisdom and combat. Yoda first tests Luke with riddles, then casually lifts a starship out of the water like it's nothing more than picking up a bag of groceries. His backwards talk somehow never gets old because it delivers profound truth wrapped in a playful kind of packaging. Do or do not, there is no try, has actually escaped the confines of the Star Wars galaxy to become an actual piece of motivation. The prequels show him flipping around like a caffeinated frog, proving that age is just a number when you're strong with the Force. As hated as some of those scenes may be, Yoda is still a badass. But his finest moment might be in The Lost Jedi, teaching one last lesson about embracing failure as a teacher, not as a learner. Fans treasure him so dearly because he shows that true strength comes with kindness and wisdom, not raw power and bullying. Speaking of strength and kindness, or the lack thereof actually, we have Kylo Ren. Hated. Now look, he is my favorite part in the sequels, but that's not saying much. Helmet sparking with damage at every turn, scarred face revealed for all of us to see, and emotions always dialed to 11. The supposed supreme leader of the First Order is capable of freezing blaster bolts mid-air, but also throwing a far more powerful temper tantrum that destroys control panels and risks his missions. His fiery crossguard lightsaber perfectly matches his unstable personality. That's a cool bit of lore. Some fans see raw authenticity in his constant struggle with emotions, always bouncing between light and dark, but others just see him as an overgrown teenager with anger issues. Unfortunately, the sequels didn't have the best writing in the world, and the result is he seems more like an emotional teen than someone who actually has legitimate trauma and is struggling to walk between light and dark. He murders his father but saves Rey from Snoke. One of those should have been an easier decision than the other one, but his redemption brings tears to many viewers' eyes after he loses his mother. I wouldn't think it would take so much familial death for someone to do the right thing. Love him or hate him on a personal level, nobody feels meh about Kylo Ren. It's always extreme one way or extreme the other. Either way, his character is pretty disappointing. His mentor during his time as a Jedi, however, is perhaps the most loved character in the fandom. Luke Skywalker. Loved. From being a simple teenage farm boy staring off at twin suns dreaming of legendary adventures to being a profoundly wise Jedi Master, Luke's journey resonates exactly because it starts off so simple. He's just like us. He has chores, he wants to hang out with his friends, he dreams of adventure but never actually goes on any, and then he gets whisked away on an adventure that will change his life forever. His victories don't just come through superior fighting skills. Oftentimes he's actually less powerful than his enemies, but rather he has strength in his unshakable belief in redemption. Every move he took to save his father was out of that belief. It wasn't because he thought he was better, he thought he was stronger. It's because he wanted to save his father. He believed he could come back from the dark. The Lost Jedi's portrayal of an older and more cautious Luke threw a lot of fans through a loop. At first, I was actually one of them. I didn't like this portrayal. But we need to realize that even while in exile, he pulls off one of the most spectacular force feats that we've ever seen in live action, which is projecting himself across the entire galaxy to face down the entire First Order without actual violence. His final act creates a lot of breathing room for hope to grow again in the galaxy, cementing his legacy as the ultimate hero of the saga. However, like I said, a lot of fans weren't happy with that portrayal, so thanks to The Mandalorian, we have seen a lot more of his badass younger years as a Jedi Master. Thanks to that, any bad taste that people might have had in their mouths from The Last Jedi is replaced with feelings of joy, happiness, and overall badassery when it comes to Luke Skywalker. But if someone is all good, there needs to be somebody all bad too. And that brings us to the number one most hated character on our list, Emperor Palpatine. This is the ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing. Sheev Palpatine starts out as a kind senator with concerned eyebrows and slowly transforms into a yellow-eyed nightmare in a black hood, taking over the galaxy. He manipulates Anakin with false promises, engineers the downfall of the Jedi, and cackles maniacally while democracy crumbles around him. Audiences love to hate him because his evil is so theatrical and complete. It's so over the top. He is meant to be evil itself. With that being said though, there is something else we hate about him. His return in The Rise of Skywalker had many fans, including me, rolling their eyes. Surprise resurrections lose their impact when they get overused. And his story in that movie is pretty bad. So as well as hating the character for being evil, we also hate him for how he was used. It was really, really bad in the sequels. But still, we have lines like, "Do it," and then the whole speech about Darth Plagueis the Wise, which have been getting quoted at this point for decades. That's how much of a legendary character he is. Even those of us who groaned at "somehow Palpatine returned" can appreciate the pure, undiluted villainy that he brings to every scene that he's in. Ian McDiarmid loves playing him, and he does so extremely well. Although this master of evil was entirely dark, he tried to take under his tutelage somebody who struggled with a mixture of good and evil, a man who tiptoed the tightrope of light and dark, before finally embracing the light entirely. Our number one most loved character in Star Wars is Darth Vader. His mask appears through smoke, breathing fills the silence, and even people who have never seen Star Wars get chills as the red lightsaber ignites in Rogue One. Vader commands total fear with minimal effort, force-choking officers with one hand while deflecting blaster bolts with the other. What makes him truly fascinating is knowing the lost boy trapped inside that armor. The annoying kid who missed his mom and dreamed of adventure among the stars. The young man who fell in love and was willing to go to such extents that he doomed the galaxy, seemingly forever. Every mechanical breath of his suit carries the weight of that incredible tragedy. The moment he chooses to save his son Luke, the final remnant of his wife Padme, instead of continuing to serve the Emperor like a loyal dog, shows that even the darkest path can lead back to light, if we're given the right guidance. When he burns with his armor on Endor, generations of viewers understand the core message of Star Wars. No one is ever truly beyond saving. Or at the very least, no one is beyond trying. That's why Vader remains at the center of everything that the Star Wars saga represents, both in the terror of failing and the hope of redemption that comes afterwards. These characters stick with us because they tap into something universal. Whether it's Jar Jar's annoying stumbles or Vader's iconic presence, each one leaves an impression that lasts well beyond the credits. The strongest reactions come when characters either perfectly fulfill our expectations or wildly subvert them. That's the magic of Star Wars. These fictional beings actually feel real enough that we argue about them like they're our friends, and care about them like they're our family members. The Skywalker saga lives on in each of us, and every single one of the characters in this video had a major part to play. Whether they were hated or loved, they were integral to the story. Thank you for getting this far in the video. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like and subscribe for more content like this. If you'd like to get yourself an awesome looking lightsaber for a really nice price, go ahead and hit the link in the description. It's a way for you to support the channel and get an awesome display or stunt saber as well. Thank you for watching, thank you for supporting the channel, and my friends, may the Force be with you.